It's the ultimate battleground for bragging rights among the world's leading automobile manufacturers. A showdown on the racetrack for all the marbles. And in the opening race of the season at Sebring, the big winners were Ford, BMW, Mazda, and Honda. In race number 2 at Road Atlanta, the defending series champion Pontiac Firebird bounced back, as did the Acuras and the Hyundais. Today, they'll go at it again at Mosport Park in Ontario, Canada. It's round 3 of the Motorola Cup, North America's premier race series for street stock automobiles. And it's brought to you by Motorola, web without wires. By Derringer, complete logistical solutions. And by Castrol, track-proven performance. Hi, I'm Jim Martin, and welcome to one of the most demanding race circuits in the entire world, Mosport Park, where we're just about set for the start of the 3rd round in the chase for the Motorola Cup. And with me is former street stock champion and teacher at the Skip Barber Racing School, Professor Terry Irwood. Terry, tell us about this Mosport circuit.
One of my favorite tracks on the circuit. It's a very demanding 2.5-mile track, very rough. Here we have downhill, off camber. Actually, we run 5th gear trying to get good gas mileage in this particular corner, but it's very bumpy. You make a teeny mistake here going uphill. We lost a car here one night a couple of years ago just by making a 1-foot mistake, dropped the wheel off, turned it over in a tire wall. Big, long uphill, really robs the horsepower. It's really tricky to try to get behind a fast car to get some good drafting up this long, painful straightaway. Very, very tight corner coming onto the front straight. It's very hard to get power down because it's off camber and very slick at the outside edge.
Boy, it's going to be a long race, too. 3 hours, 4 different classes are out here, all running together. We've got the big, fast Camaros, Firebirds, Mustangs out front, everything back to the Hondas and Oldsmobiles and Mazda Miatas at the other end of the field. 2 drivers per car, lots of pit stops. It's going to be a ton of fun. Let's take a look now at our Speed Stick fastest qualifiers. In the Grand Sport class, the Scott Maxwell Greg Wilkins 0 Multimatic Ford Mustang was the quickest of the bunch. Second fastest, the Hayner and Heinrichsey American Motorsports Pontiac Firebird, and the teammate to the 0 car, the Lacey Malowney Ford Mustang, was 3rd fastest. In the sport class, it was Andy Lally and Mike Johnson, the class of the field in the 70 BMW Z3 Coupe. Just behind them, though, the Barassa Stewart Team Hurricane Acura Integra. In touring class, Will and Wayne Nunemaker in the number 41 Mazda 626. And in compact, it was the Ed Magner Frank Del Vecchio Achieva at the top of the list.
In the touring class, we have Peter Swartzot and Bob Endicott in the BBS Acura, the 71 car, our Atlanta winner, way back here in the back of the pack. A little infraction during qualifying. Their fuel and the water in the gas tank didn't mix. Tech caught that. It was a mistake, obviously, but still, they got thrown to the back of the pack.
And these Motorola officials are tough, there's no doubt about that. And we've got a great view of this tough racetrack for you in the 71 Acura. Another camera in the number 9 Lexus for you. We also will be riding along with Johnson and Lally in that 70 BMW Z3. Another onboard camera in the 11 car, the Powell Gold Firebird today. And the Maxwell Wilkins car way out front. They're going to start at the pole with nobody in front of them.
I tell you, talk about a nervous 2 or 3 minutes in the world. A pace lap is nothing like it. You got a lot on your mind. You're trying to get the car ready. You're trying to get the tires hot. Trying to get the brakes hot. You're thinking about what you're going to do strategy-wise. You know, the guy behind you's a little bit faster. Where are you going to go? You don't want to hurt the car at the start, but boy, there's a lot going on.
The start from Mosport's next. The cars are all formed up, coming through White's corner. Corner number 10 at Mosport, onto the front straightaway, looking for the green flag. Here they come. They pick up the pace. The green is out, and we're underway. Scott Maxwell in the 0 Ford Mustang will lead the field into turn number 1 for the first time. Hot on his heels, his teammate in the 7 car, and John Heinrichsey in that 33 Firebird is squeezed in between them, I think. We'll have to catch up to them again as they get across the short chute between 1 and 2. Now the bottom of the corner, the Heinrichsey Firebird runs in 2nd spot. But boy, there's a great battle going on right behind him. The 7 Ford Mustang and the 75 Peter Tonelll Toyota Supra side by side now up the big long straightaway.
Big long straightaway, people trying to get in line, trying to slot in line, single file, especially for the last couple of corners coming onto the front straightaway. Guys are feeling each other out right now, just trying to see what they have in their car.
A little bit of drafting going on as we watch the 75 Toyota sneak in behind that 33 Firebird for just a piece into turn number 8 for the first time at speed. The Mustang, the Firebird, the Toyota, and then that 7 car that I thought might be as high as second at the end of this first lap is all over the road. David Lacey's working real hard trying to stay with that lead group.
Pretty big surprise that the Sunoco cars are so far back. We expected them to be right up front on the first lap.
It's almost as if they're maybe biding their time just a little bit, letting everybody else run to the front, and they're going to be there at the end. This is a 3-hour contest after all.
That's true, and these guys teach school here. They know the old track. They know what they can get away with these cars. They've got a lot of miles on these tracks, so they're right there in the hunt.
Everybody is stretching it as far as they possibly can as far as this front 4 is concerned, though. And Scott Maxwell in the 0 car seems to have built up a little bit of an advantage. Heading down underneath the bridge in turn number 4, there is a distinct advantage now, maybe 6-7 car lengths. The slowest part of the circuit now. And off the road, the 33 car, John Heinrichs with an uncharacteristic mistake.
Ironically, John hit me in this exact corner a couple of years ago as I went a little bit wide, and he thought I was giving him a spot, and I didn't. He took one. It's a very tough corner. You're coming uphill, you're turning, you're stabbing it in second gear at the same time. Now we're coming on that long straightaway, just hoping you don't miss a gear. Boy, it's easy to do because there's a lot of pressure here. You're trying to get the draft. Notice that we're actually running a little bit up on this car because the draft is working.
Boy, a great view over the shoulder in that Sunoco Firebird, the 11 car. Up onto the front side of the circuit once again, the 32 Pontiac Firebird under attack from those 2 Sunoco Firebirds right in behind them. Still, it's Scott Maxwell out front. Peter Tonelll runs in second spot. And you were saying earlier you thought that maybe John Heinrichs was giving you the spot. Well, it seems as though David Lacey stole one from him down at 5 the last time.
Well, you pretty well seize any opportunity. You know, sometimes you make opportunities and they sort of frown on that. But boy, if one arises, you've got to jump.
Absolutely. These cars are so closely matched up at the front. Just the slightest bobble is going to cost you a position, or maybe 2 or 3. One of the highest speed pieces of the race course, and the race leader puts a couple wheels off at the bottom of 2.
I don't care how many times you come down this hill in 4th gear at over 120 miles an hour, you pucker up every single lap.
A great Firebird fight as we ride along with Devin Powell in the number 11 car. Right in front of him, his teammate in the 31. Then the 2 Phoenix American Firebirds, Joe Accolati's team. The 4 Firebirds run nose to tail through turn number 5. The 32 of Stu Hainer leading that group. And right in behind him, boy, there is not any room to move in there. Just the slightest bobble, and somebody's going to touch somebody else.
It's a great part about Motorola Cup. You're never lonesome. We see a yellow flag waving. There's a car off to the right here as we go up the hill. It's a Mustang slowing down.
One of the Zippo Mustangs, Mark Ackley, slow up the back straightaway. He's pulled off the race course to try to give everybody a little bit of room, and he's trying to limp the car home from the look of things.
It's going to be a long uphill battle. It's a long way to limp a car.
No doubt about it. Still, the battle up front continues. The 0 car is our race leader. The 75 runs in second, and the teammate to the 0 race leader, the 7 car, running real strong in third right now. The Mustang's pretty fast today.
Mustangs are fast on this old track. They've got a lot of horsepower on the straightaways. They don't handle quite as good in some of the corners. We need to watch this Toyota also. He's right in the thick of things.
Boy, a great battle. We've got a couple of Mustangs, a Toyota up front, and then these 4 Firebirds, and nobody's giving anybody an inch back here. Underneath that bridge once again, the cars slide wide at the exit of turn number 5 as everybody tries to get on the hammer as hard and as fast as they can to exit that corner quick.
But you have to be patient. It's easy to use a car up back here.
I can see why that could happen because you notice already we've got some of the cars sliding around just a little bit. How long can these cars take that kind of punishment? How long can these tires deal with that?
There's the problem. These are Hoosier, even though they're DOT-approved tires, you can overheat them, which means they start to go off or not be as responsive. So you wind up with too much heat in the back tires, and the car slides on the back, sticks in the front.
Hey, that could really be a handful around a racetrack like this with the big high-speed right-hand corners. The last thing you want is a car that oversteers.
Yeah, you got to be very throttle sensitive or be very smooth like the NASCAR guys talk about, rolling on the throttle, not lighting the tires.
The race lead hasn't really changed all that much, but boy, we got a great one on our hands back here. The guy in the catbird seat is the 11, Devin Powell, running at the back of this 3-car Firebird train here. We've been watching over his shoulder from time to time, but he's got the best seat in the house.
He does. He knows how to, he knows his track. He can probably do it blindfolded, and he's just trying to nurse the car. And if they make a mistake, he's right there.
Now we get a little bit further back in the field, and we see that they're not the only battle. We got a couple of cars off down in the bottom of turn number 2, as a matter of fact, and one in the tire wall hard.
63 car.
Gary Stanka flips the car over when he comes into contact with that tire wall down there. Tire wall seemed to have saved a lot of major damage, but boy, that car is a little wrinkly.
Yeah, it's going to spend a day or two at Mako, it looks like, but he definitely has come down the hill. I think he had help. We'll see this in a replay in a few minutes. He's on the outside. RX-7 tucks inside him. RX-7 gets loose and uses him as sort of a cushion, if you will. And here goes the Acura into the tire wall. Boom, 1, 2, 3, lands on his feet. We see that a lot. That's a good part about a tire wall. Even though it might bounce you over, at least it doesn't tear you up too bad.
Well, everybody's out of the car and everybody is all right, and that's kind of what it's all about, thankfully. Gary's tank is okay, and he gets to watch the crowd go by behind the pace car. We are at full course yellow, as they've got some tire wall repairs to make. Scott Maxwell is our race leader in the Zero Coca-Cola Ford Mustang here at Mosport. We'll be back with more action in just a moment. Welcome back to round number 3 of the Motorola Cup at Mosport Park. The cars are lined up for the restart. Tire wall's been put back into order, and we've got that number 63 Acura out of the way, and we are green once again as we watch the cars roll down the front straightaway. Here comes Peter Tonelll.
Boy, the Toyota was spooled up. He was ready coming on the front straightaway, and he'll take the lead going to turn 1.
Boy, when that Toyota gets spooled up, now that's a great phrase. The Toyota with a turbocharged motor, one of the few, really has the horsepower.
The car has a lot of horsepower, and actually it feeds on itself. It starts off pretty low, doesn't have a whole lot of torque, but once you get it spooled up or RPM'd up, it really begins to pull hard. You know, he's been lurking back there all day.
When he got a little bit of a jump, that's all he needed to get by the Zero car. The new race leader, Peter Tonelll, the 75 Toyota Supra in front of the Coca-Cola Mustang team. The 0 and the 7 cars now run 2nd and 3rd, respectively, and they've got the Firebird brigade in behind them. Here's an interesting situation as David Lacey drives up beside Scott Maxwell. Scott Maxwell is supposed to be the faster driver on this team, isn't he?
Lacey had a big run coming up the hill. That long straightaway, the draft really works. He had a good shot coming out of turn 6, and it's pretty easy to get around your buddy.
Hey, Dave Lacey now running in 2nd spot. A real nice job to get around the 0 car. And with all that action, one of the Firebirds has snuck up. We've got a 4-car battle out front as they come out of the front straightaway again. The 75 Peter Tonelll car now with a big challenge. David Lacey's not going to be satisfied just going around the 0. He's going for the lead, too. Yeah,
he felt like it was temporary. In the meantime, he has to guard his flanks because the Firebird, Doc Lenny car, is right back there trying to get, he wants to get up front.
Great camera view as we watch the cars come through turn number 1. And now the 7 car trying on the outside.
That usually doesn't work. The sun comes up on the east, goes down in the west, and usually the outside guy doesn't pass, but he just made a liar out of both of us. A beautiful outside pass in that Mustang.
The rule book says you're not supposed to be able to do that, but I don't think David Lacey's been playing by the rules today. David Lacey in the 7 car is our new race leader down the front straightaway. Might have surprised Peter Tonelll by coming around the outside like that.
I think it did because there's a lot of marbles out there. You really don't want to risk running out there in a high-speed car, but he got away with it.
Hey, a great job. And kind of the surprise so far, the 0 Ford Mustang, his teammate, seems to be fading just a little bit. Could he have used up the tires early?
Could have used the tires or the brakes pretty early. These guys have run wide open since the green flag. Speaking about using the tires up, look at the slip angle. My goodness, this is a 100-mile-an-hour slip as he catches the car coming down this hill. It looks spectacular for the TV, but I don't think you can do that for 3 hours.
You'll be lucky if you can do it for 3 minutes around here. That's pretty nervy stuff, and he's trying real hard. David Lacey trying to open up a little bit of a gap between himself and the Toyota immediately behind him. David Lacey's pushing the car very, very hard, and the question is, how long can he do this? Up into turn 5, the new race leader, David Lacey, with that 7 Ford Mustang, just tossing the car around the racetrack again at the exit of 5.
The Toyota, he's trying to keep his car as cool as he can. In other words, he's not sliding the car. The cars behind him aren't sliding. I'm not sure Lacey can stay up there very long.
Well, it looks as though Lacey's pushing pretty hard. Scott Maxwell's laying back just a little bit, and to the point that he's going to get past for position. Scott Maxwell's going to make him go around the outside, but Stu Hayner has stolen away 3rd spot.
All these cars are just taking turns. I think a guy cools his tires down, and that way he can make a big run toward the front. Notice that Toyota. He's sitting right there and not sliding tires.
It's almost as if a bunch of the guys have maybe decided to take it easy just for a little bit after realizing that if you push really, really hard right off the bat, the tires are going to go off and you're not going to have much of a car left. Sitting in behind, maybe running exactly that kind of a strategy. Those 2 yellow Sunoco Firebirds, as a matter of fact, we see them coming into view at the exit of turn number 3 here.
2 beautiful cars. You know, Devin Powell teaches school here. These guys know what they can get away with on this racetrack. Like I said earlier, they can run it blindfolded, I'm sure. They have a pace. They have a race pace. The key is to stay in sight of the leaders, but maybe not beat the car up to get there.
Here's what Devin had to say before the start.
I do spend a lot of time here, do a lot of laps here with the students. I get a lot of chances to walk the track, especially early on in the season. That way I can see what the winter has done to the track. So I think it's a bit of an advantage. So I feel very comfortable here. That's why I'm not too concerned about our starting position.
We've been watching the leaders for a little bit, but boy, there's a great battle going on in sports class between Mike Johnson in the 70 BMW, but right behind him is this Lexus, the GS 400 car.
And this Lexus actually is the only automatic transmission car in the field. This car weighs over 3,400 pounds, but it's got big horsepower, but it makes it in the same class as the little smaller BMW because of the weight versus the horsepower.
It's quite a story, and they've been slowly but surely developing this automobile into a pretty fine race car, too.
Yeah, Chuck Goldsborough and the guys work real hard on it. They got a couple of team cars, as a matter of fact. I look for these cars to take a trophy home one of these days.
In third place is the number 10 Team Hurricane Acura Integra. 3 different makes in the top 3 in the sport class as we watch them run nose to tail out on the circuit through turn number 4. This will be an interesting battle.
Great part about the Motorola Cup, we have 3 totally different cars running almost bumper to bumper here for the sports class. We've got the rear drive, big old heavy automatic transmission Lexus, a little front drive Acura, and the rear drive BMW. That's what makes this series so great is anybody can be competitive.
Watching the leaders now coming up the straightaway, trying to pick their way through some of the back markers in traffic now. Craig Conway, the 31 Firebird, getting around Scott Maxwell for 5th position now. The pole sitter's fading.
Yeah, but Lacey's stretching out in the 7 car. All of a sudden, he's stretching that lead some. Maybe he's cool his tires back down.
An interesting strategy, if that's what it is, as Scott Maxwell just holds off just a little bit as we watch the blue flag come out in the front straightaway as the race leaders are going around some of those slower cars. Great job by some of the people in Touring and Compact to make room for the race leaders when they come by.
Especially on a very narrow, high-speed racetrack. It's a lot of traffic out there.
The STP leaderboard at lap 27, the number 7 David Lacey Mustang leads. In the sport class, we've got the 70 BMW Z3 with Lally and Johnson. In touring, Schwartzide and Endicott, that 71 BBS Acura leading their class so far. Back in compact, the number 8 Hyundai of Gord Cullen and DJ Scrennan. Welcome back to Mosport. David Lacey in that 7 Ford Mustang, still the overall leader. Peter Tonelll, the 75 Supra, runs second right behind him. And the third car, the third make in the 3-car battle up front, Stu Hayner in the Firebird. It's amazing. We've got like 27, 28 laps into this race, and the top 7 cars are still running nose to tail. Only now they're having to get by some of the slower cars in class.
And now we have 3 different makes, 4 different models back here in the sports battle as Mike Johnson leads it. But back here for the back for 3rd place, we have Howie Liebengood in the 328 trying to get around the John Barraza car. That's the front drive Honda hub-to-hub side-by-side. It's that long straightaway. Takes a lot of horsepower when they're side-by-side. Looks like the BMW may take P3 temporarily in the sports category.
Trying to go around again the high side into turn number 8 and makes it stick. A great job by Howie Liebengood. And the BMW 328 steals away 3rd spot. That's in the sport class, of course, a little bit further back from the race leaders. But boy, he's not giving it up by any stretch. John Barraza chased them all the way through. Oh, and he gives him a little tap at the exit of 10 down the front straightaway, too.
That bumper comes off like a prom dress. I mean, just a little tap and he was gone.
Just a little bit of a tap, just to let him know he's still there and he's not going to let him get too far away. John Barraza continuing to chase Howie Liebengood, and now looks to the inside of the exit of turn number 1. The short shoot 1 to 2. Those 2 cars are side by side. Barraza returns a favor.
Sort of slows both of them down, though. You can see Chuck Goldsborough right in front of him. Oh, we have a big spin here. The 24 car, back to power, hooks it across the racetrack, almost gets into the little Miata. Jeez, a little mistake, almost came a big one.
A great piece of driving by Matt Whitaker in that 91 car. Probably saved himself a whole bunch of battle damage there. Well, watch this one again. Andy Linder down to the bottom of turn number 2. The car gets a little bit loose. He gets out of the throttle. The back end comes around. It becomes a tank slapper, and away he goes.
Yeah, that's what we call a hook slide of monumental proportions as the rear end gets up on the curb, unloads the rear tires. He goes back to full throttle to catch it. Now it's a little too much. And now Mr. Whitaker, he's going to be a little taller in the saddle for a minute.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah, great job by Matt Whitaker. Managed to avoid both those cars and not really lose too much space out in the racetrack. Again, from another angle, we watch the car come all the way around. Puts in a little opposite lock to get the car to come around and face the right way again. Then he's got the wheels all cranked over, gets off the brakes, and scoots right across the racetrack in front of that Mazda.
Yeah, 2 major things. Extremely lucky he didn't turn the car over in that dirt. And then or get hit by the yellow car. Back up front in sports.
What a tremendous battle as we watch him come up this straightaway. This is where horsepower is really going to come into play, and boy, that Lexus has a ton.
Lots of horsepower, big old heavy car, but on his long straightaways, this is his forte here. It comes right around the BMW.
Chuck Goldsborough's task now is to haul that big Lexus down just a touch as they bend the cars into the big right-hander turn number 8 here. The 70 BMW hot on his heels. They have to drive to the inside of the Mazda Miata, the compact class car. Drives up 2 wheels on the dirt there, but manages to get it done. Crosses the start-finish line. The first time the Lexus has led a lap in the sport class.
But notice as this happens, the overall leader has caught this pack, so they're having a battle of their own. Here come the big guys.
Hey, a great job as far as the sport class is concerned to watch Mike Johnson in the BMW just a minute ago move over, let the race leader come by. Chuck Goldsborough points him by to the inside as well. Hey, even though they're having a great battle amongst themselves, they're still aware in the mirrors that there's another race going on as far as Grand Sport and giving the race leaders a lot of room too.
And as we know, 4 races going on at one time, but it's real easy to get tied up and locked up in your battle. Here comes Verasa back on the inside. This is a hard-fought battle for second place in sports. Verasa back in P2.
Every time you look, there's a change out on the racetrack.
Goldsborough moves over to let the leaders through, but Barassa takes advantage of that. He thinks he's going to follow the Grand Sports guys, but no, Chuck's going to walk him all the way to that curb on the outside edge. Now Barassa has to pop back on the inside and loses all his momentum.
Boy, there's some great racing going on. Everybody's trying to do the right thing. The 44 Zippo Ford Mustang with a little bit of smoke down into turn number 1. A lot of smoke now.
Oh, my. You run these big old V8s hard, sometimes it tells on you.
Boy, the car does not look well at all. He's losing some speed up the front straightaway as the Sunoco Firebirds come by. That 44 car, I'm afraid his day is done. We'll look for that to make a stop in along pit lane momentarily.
And the problem, you wonder, is he dumping things on the racetrack? You know, you want to follow the guy, but you don't want to follow him in his tracks, and you're hoping the corner workers will get him off the track as soon as you can.
And the Zippo Ford Mustang dives in along pit lane as we watch the 11 car as he continues down the front straightaway. That 44 machine going to stop in the pits and give the crew a chance to give it a quick once-over to see whether or not it is salvageable.
And a lot more motor oil.
At the very least, it's going to go for a ton of motor oil. Nonetheless, while the car comes in, the crew immediately goes to work with the routine things, changing tires and the like. This is John Kohler and Jeff Lapsevich in the 44 Zippo Ford Mustang. The crew trying to find out where the oil's coming from. The sport class battle continues, though. Up the back straightaway, Chuck Goldsborough still holding them off. But here comes the Team Hurricane Acura. Looks to the outside up the straightaway, has a bit of a run on him.
Even with the Lexus with a bigger engine, this is how the draft works. That little bitty car gets in that big old hole. That Lexus is knocked into the racetrack, and he takes Mike Johnson with him in the BMW. Ooh, lock the brakes up here, because John came back over to get in line. The BMW almost gathers him up.
Almost gave him a little tap in the middle of that corner. And speaking of getting a little bit sideways, David Lacey is still driving the tires literally off the number 7 Ford Mustang out front.
Yeah, he proved me a liar about an hour ago when I said he's going to use that car up, and he's still out there dirt tracking the car every lap, looking great for the fans.
Hey, he's putting on a heck of a show, and he's opening up a tremendous gap between himself and the second place, number 32 Pontiac Firebird, the 75 Toyota running in third right now.
We're looking for our touring leader. Here we are, Peter Swartzout in the BBS Acura leading over the Wayne Nonamaker Mazda. This is a 4-door car. In the Motorola Cup, you can run 2 doors, 4 doors. It doesn't really matter. They're all very competitive. Peter Swartzout and his teammate Bob Endicott, who won Atlanta, leading this class right now.
Will and Wayne Nonamaker in that Mazda putting on a great show in what is a relatively new car in this series. They've been developing it over the course of the year, and as it stands right now, they're only about 3 car lengths away from being a class leader.
That's going to be a very good car for them, I'm afraid, because I'm in the same class a lot of times in another type of car. Oh, we have a problem. We have a Camaro off the track down in turn 4.
And down the far end of the race circuit, it looks as though we've got some bodywork damage, nothing too very serious. However, the car is on the grass. Now the problem is to get back out on the race circuit while it's being collected.
Actually, we're down here in turn 5. He goes wide. He's trying to be a good guy, trying to let one of the Aquilini cars by, but he drops the left rear wheel off. He checks up, and in the meantime, the number 78 Firebird has nowhere to go, so trying to be a nice guy costs him a rear clip.
We'll catch up one more time with our race leader, David Lacey, and the number 7 Ford Mustang. Got some back markers to deal with heading down through turn number 2, still driving hard. There's lots more racing to come from Mosport in just a moment. Jim Martin along with Terry Earwood. Welcome back to the Motorola Cup from Mosport, Canada. Taking a look at some of the pit stop action. Definitely one of the major facets of the Motorola Cup Series.
These are guys who are putting on Hoosier tires. They are racing slicks, but they're actually street legal, a lot like the cars are. They all have the same compound, so that it's sort of an equal level playing ground, if you will. They are very sticky. They're great tires. I have a chance to race them on them now, and they last a lot longer than you think.
You can run them on the street. We kind of persuade competitors or retail consumers that it's not a 40,000-mile tire. It's purely used and designed for on-track racing, but it can be driven to and from the track from a competitor's home. These are purely competition DOT racing tires. We do have we call it a holographic tread that actually is worn off in a couple laps, but it is a DOT type approved tire, and a race tire to perform better, to have a better performance, does not need a tread. The track is wet, the race is running in the rain, we do need a tread in that application, but for a truly high-performance competition tire, we don't need a tread.
Back to the action, and the race leaders in pit lane. A routine stop. David Lacey will get out. Jay Malowney will get in. New set of tires for the number 7 Ford Mustang. That first set really took it. Now, another little battle out here. Not a battle for position, though. The 75 Toyota's already been in for a pit stop. Now he's trying not to go a lap down to our new race leader, the 33, John Heinrichs, the Pontiac Firebird.
You know, John's a big engineer with Chevrolet, big hand in the Corvette and how that car runs. He has driven every type of Chevrolet and Pontiac Firebird and Camaro ever known to mankind. He drives like an engineer. He's a very methodical. He's always making plans, always making his strategy. I love racing around John. He's a very, very clean guy to run with.
You always have to look at the weakest factor in the car, whether it's the brakes or the tires or fuel conservation or whatever it is, and drive within the parameters of that weakest link. If it's the brakes, use the tires harder. If the tires are the weak link, use the brakes a little harder, use the engine a little harder. So you kind of balance the equation there and try to use the whole car up by the time you're done.
We're going to have to start calling John Heinrichs the professor.
Yes, he is. You could learn a big lesson. He could write a big book.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. He's probably forgotten more about racing than most of the other guys out in the racetrack have ever learned. In along pit lane, the compact class leader now. The Cullinan Scranin Hyundai Tiburon. DJ Scranin will get in, and the Craig and Hebert car will take over that class, the teammate machine. The number 6 Hyundai Tiburon. Great job with those automobiles. Somebody in the tire wall down at turn number 5, the 78 Thompson Firebird.
The Firebird, he got into the back of the Camaro here about an hour ago, and now by himself, it looks like he's gone to the tire wall. We lost a car turned upside down. It's very easy. There's not much room to run off here in turn 6. Here's a replay. He's a little bit wide. We have the leader coming behind him, and he locks the front tires momentarily. And of course, you lose your steering when you do that, and no runoff. Boom, right into the tire wall. Hadn't hurt the car too badly, I don't think.
Once again, we want somebody, Tom Stewart in this case, trying to do somebody a favor, the race leader, and let him by, and it actually costs him.
You have to drive in your mirrors. You have to be aware of where the other guys are, but you can't alter your racing line to the point where you can hurt your car.
The 33 machine, still our race leader. However, one of the few cars out on the racetrack which has not pitted, and there's some Hoosier tire marks on the side of that car, too. It's been a long, hard battle already.
But they still do a good job of keeping this car, nice and clean, if you will. They're running the car hard, like Heinrichs said. He has a plan. What can you use the most of? For a while they had, some oiling problems. Well, they worked around that, and they've just done a real good job, the Joe Aquilini team, to develop these cars. Super fun cars to drive, by the way.
Hey, another fun car to drive and to watch around here in this round at Mosport is this ACURA NSX, probably the prettiest sounding automobile of all of them out in the racetrack.
It's a great sounding car, and from the inside, it sounds better still. This car costs a lot more than the Firebirds, but a fun car to race. We talked to John Shirk about this car.
Yeah, this is a lot like some of the other Honda products we've run in the past. It's pretty reliable, so there's not really a lot that you have to take care of mechanically. Maintenance on the car is kept up pretty well, so as long as you start with things in good shape, you can run the car pretty well as hard as you want for the whole race and not have to worry about something failing or coming out from under you. Fuel mileage, I think we ought to be okay. We've done a 3-hour in the past with one stop, so.
I think like a lot of other cars that people buy off the showroom floor, if you pay a lot of money, you expect it to run pretty well.
Yeah, it has to be a fun car to race also.
Oh, a big crash out on the racetrack. The 98 machine, the Vorathon number 98 Chevrolet Camaro, has been involved in a big shutdown in turn number 2. A full course yellow. The car's in a really nasty place on the racetrack, and as a matter of fact, some of the drivers coming down here won't see it until they're actually upon it. So we've got a full course yellow as that Camaro is literally dead in the water. Let's see how this happened.
A lot of times you get help from your friends, especially if you're in hard traffic. 100 miles an hour, gets tapped from behind, still full throttle, boom, big hit, knocks the whole front clip off this Camaro. I hope he's okay, because he hadn't quite even gone to the brakes yet. Going to slide it back into traffic. Hopefully nobody's coming. And yes, he's out of the car. This is Rael. His daddy had an out-of-body or out-of-world experience, a UFO experience, and I think it's trickled all the way down to his hairdo here. But obviously he does a little better job in those UFOs.
We are under full course caution And coming in along pit lane is our race leader, the number 33 Phoenix American Motorsports Pontiac Firebird. The crew goes to work, replacing all 4 of those Hoosier tires. They've been working pretty hard today, too.
Depending on the racetrack determines when we come in for gas or for a driver change. In other words, under full course yellow, you'd think that'd be most desirable, and it is in a lot of cases. But these cars run with regular fuel pump gas like your service station, so it takes a long time. It takes over a minute to service this car. So you lose a whole minute to the rest of the pack. Sometimes you can do that in a green if you're way out front and get in and not hurt yourself. Here we lose a lot of track position, but this car is ready to go all the way to the finish.
All right, and the finish is just around the corner. While we finish our cleanup under full course yellow, we'll be back with the restart in a minute. Let's take a look now, though, at our STP leaderboard. At lap number 46 in the Grand Sport class, it was the Hayner and Heinrichsey 33 Firebird, now in along pit lane. In the sport class, the Lolly Johnson 70 BMW Z3 Coupe. In touring class, Schwartzart and Endicott in the Acura Integra, and in compact, the Villeneuve and Holdener Honda Civic. We'll be back with more from Mosport in a minute. Come back to round number 3 at Mosport International Raceway of the Motorola Cup. We are still under full course yellow. There's been lots of action out on the racetrack. The 14 BMW of Liebengood and Corman has come to a stop out on the racetrack as we watch the safety crew catch up with them. And they'll pull that vehicle out of harm's way before we go back to green. And we catch up to Frank Delvecchio, who looks underneath the hood. Boy, that car has a lot of race miles on it, and we talked to Frank about it earlier.
I think it's a 1994, and during qualifying, it'll turn its 14,000th race mile, so it's a little bit long in the tooth. It's got almost as many races on it as I have, so it's somewhere around 500.
Notice the happy birthday Jeanette on the side of that car. That's a fun racing team. Not the best birthday present, I guess, though. Back under green, 3 abreast into turn number 1. They stretch it out just a little bit, though, and get it down to 2 abreast as they actually enter the corner. And here comes the race leader.
Race leader's in the back of the pack because with all the pit stops, even though the pace car came out in front of the leader, he stopped to get gas, and now that things just sort of get all jumbled up with the compact touring and sports cars, with the race leader in the middle of the pack coming through.
Boy, and he's got a real challenge on his hands as he weaves to one side and then the other. He's got a real challenge trying to pick his way through this crowd that is now all bunched up in front of him.
You can have a lot of fun with this. You know, it can be frustrating because you get held up occasionally, but it really challenges you and your machine to work traffic without hurting a car, without hitting somebody.
And we've got a car off the race circuit as well. At one time, the compact class leader has exited the track and come in contact with some of the tire wall there.
Yeah, probably not on his own, though. Maybe we can pick us up on the replay and see how he got off of turn 3. This is a treacherous part of the course, but usually you get a friend to help you. So maybe we can see. We're inside Chuck Goldsborough's car. Actually, this is by himself. The rear end gets loose. He jams the brakes on, and talk about a hook slide of biblical proportions. In a front drive car, you really shouldn't hook it around like that. In the meantime, we have another fight for the lead. Actually, our Supra is almost catching these guys. This is how far he's ahead right here.
Hey, he's doing a pretty fair job, though, as the Toyota Supra, the 75 car, now with Peter Cunningham aboard in second. The 32 Marty Miller Firebird running in third. The number 7 Ford Mustang is in 4th position currently. As we watch him come across the short chute between 3 and 4 and underneath the bridge, we've got a car off the circuit again.
That's our touring car. It's one of the non-maker cars. He's off on the track. Probably had a little help from his friends in touring. It's a pretty big battle back there.
But it seems as though he hasn't damaged the car. Just a quick off and on, and he's back underway once again without losing a position. Up to the top of the straightaway, the 33 Pontiac Firebird. At one point, our race leader dragging a big chunk of pipe and exhaust pipe.
Boy, it looks like every piece of exhaust pipe ever made here. I cannot believe they run this big a pipe on these cars. He's not about to for very long. He's going to come, fortunately, he's right near pit in here. He's dragging this, 18 feet of exhaust pipe, looking for his nearest Thunder muffler shop, trying to get some speedy service, I hope.
The car comes to a stop in along pit lane. He says, come on over. It's over on this side.
So this guy reaches down, and the first thing he realizes, this is hot. Oh, he just jerks it out from under the car. This is the header pipe. Comes all the way from the engine, all the way out back of this Pontiac Firebird.
It's going to be a noisy car to drive for the balance of the race, but it is back in the race. And a Mazda Miata exits the race course down at the bottom of turn number 2, and this is exactly how it's supposed to be done.
Boy, this is picture perfect here. Get off in that grass at high speeds. It's very easy to go at tire wall like a magnet, but he does a beautiful job of catching this car, going to come back up on the track. It's safe. Great job. We'll be back with more racing from Mosport in a minute.
Welcome back. Doug Goat, the 11 Firebird, continues to show the way around the course in Grand Sports and overall, but the action is really getting hot back in the sport class. This battle's been going on all afternoon long between the 70 and the number 10 cars.
Two totally different cars. We have Andy Lawley in the rear drive Z3 BMW, Lance Stewart, and he's a professor on his own. Lance used to teach with us at Skip Barber. He is ruthless in this car. He's going to dog this kid left and right. I'm telling you, watch this side-by-side battle. This will come down to the wire. Lance on the outside, and Lawley gives him a little bit of room. I'm amazed at that. But Lance, a little bit of light tap you see there. Now he's going to try to tuck back in. He's going to fill every one of these rearview mirrors of that BMW for a while until he gets around him.
He looks to the inside now, then the outside. He's all over the place. He's not really in a position to pass, but he's making sure he knows them there, if for no other reason than to distract him a little bit. It's
an aggravation factor. If you can feel like guy's rearview mirror's up, then he's going to zig, and hopefully you can zag at the right time. He's just trying, I'd much rather be the second car because you know where you want to go. And now the BMW guy, he's trying to drive both cars. He's driving his. He's in the rearview mirror. Where's Lance going to go? What's Lance going to do to him? He knows this is inevitable. It just doesn't know when it's going to happen. Lance is going to use the draft right now. He's peeking out. He's filling that left outside mirror. He's got just enough run to get up on the outside. He may do it. This is not the best place to pass because you're getting out toward those marbles. We have a very high-speed right-hand corner coming up over this hump, and you can't really carry two cars side by side through here. Lance is going to try it. Lance is going to try it. No, he has to tuck right back in behind the BMW. What's some great. You got to be in these cars to really appreciate what these guys are doing. Hard left-hand turn as we come back onto the front straightaway. Lance slings it wide. He's going to try to stick his nose in here. A late brake maneuver. Beautiful job. What a snooker shot. Lance just sticks it right where he needs to. Nice job for Lance Stewart.
A great job by Lance Stewart, and a pass in a place where you don't really see a lot of passing out on this racetrack. The new race leader in the sport class is now Lance Stewart. A great job on the pass on turn 10 coming down the front straightaway here as we watch those two fly by the ground-mounted camera there. These guys are really moving, and they've been having a tremendous battle. I wouldn't be surprised if they get out of the cars and both of them have ear-to-ear grins at the end of the day. Catching up to the race leader again, Doug Goad in the Sunoco Pontiac Firebird. He's doing a tremendous job on his own. Has opened up a bit of a gap over the balance of the field. Just behind him, the Hyundai Tiburons, currently running 1 and 2 in the compact class. Hyundai Canada, the sponsor of these cars, and they're really putting on a show for the home crowd.
They put on a great show, a really unique car in this class. The little Hyundai, who would think it'd be a race car, but these guys are just like a sewing machine. Never miss a beat, and they're sitting here running 1-2.
Up front right now is Jocelyn Hebert in the number 6 car, the 8 car following through. DJ Scranton and Jocelyn Hebert, both Quebecers. Jocelyn Hebert is actually a physician in Quebec City and has driven everything from Honda Civics to Chevrolet Camaros and is doing a fine job in the compact class Hyundai Tiburons, currently leading his teammate. 1-2 in class for the Hyundai squad.
Number 71, Bob Endicott. This is our touring leader. He's really stretched some out now. This was our leader from Atlanta, our winner from Atlanta, Endicott and Swartzside. I can't tell you how many miles these guys put on a race car.
And they really do a great job. These guys are probably have more driving experience than any 3 or 4 drivers put together out in the racetrack. They have a great time out there, and it's a passion. It really is.
They do have a great time with it. Very competitive. They seldom bring a car home all beat up.
A real class act on and off the racetrack as we watch the touring class Acura chasing down the sport class Lexus, which is currently running 3rd in the sport class out on the race circuit. We catch up to the race later again, the number 11 machine of Doug Goad.
Doug reminds me a lot of John Hine Racing. These guys are so consistent in these cars. Doug laid back. They haven't led this race, till the very end. They know what they can do with this race car. He is just so smooth with everything he does. He's got a plan when he gets in that car.
One of the things that we work on real hard is that we keep the consistency. You may have a peak lap of about a second quicker than you're able to do, but running that and running 4 slow ones doesn't do you any good. If you can run a series of laps for 2 hours that are within about a 2 or 3 tenths, that's how you win races.
And it looks as though this one could be theirs. I don't want to jinx them, though. The 11 car, a nice consistent run from the back to the front of the field. We'll be back with a race to the finish from Mosport in just a moment. Motorola's involvement in racing is more than skin deep. Every pit crew here is in wireless communication with the drivers. But Motorola has stretched its vision far above the track, pioneering the world's first truly global wireless communications network. The Iridium low Earth orbiting satellite system provides coverage to every square inch of the planet. It's built for those who live and work in the 90% of the world not serviced by conventional networks. Check it out at Motorola.com. Back in Mosport, we're in the final laps of this 3-hour race, and a new development. Peter Cunningham in the 75 Toyota Supra is catching the Grand Sport leader Doug Goad in that 11 Firebird. The gap's now down to 5 seconds. You can see him in the back of the screen.
And with 8 minutes to go, there's plenty of time to catch this car. I'm not sure that Firebird's sounding all 8.
Firebird may be in a bit of trouble, and maybe in a bit of trouble because Peter Cunningham in that 75 car is pushing him so hard.
Peter Cunningham's one of Barcett's best friends. Those guys are ruthless when they get behind the steering wheel of a car, especially if they can smell a checkered flag.
We haven't seen Peter Cunningham behind the wheel of this car in the past, but boy, he's driving the wheels off it this afternoon. Some of the other cars in Grand Sports pointing him by, knowing the mission that he's on.
Yeah, Peter is quick in anything he drives, whether it be a truck, a car, a front drive, rear drive. The guy just has a natural talent, a canny ability, and he'll also make an opportunity once in a while.
Getting out the stopwatch. The gap is now down to 4 seconds as they go by. And we've got a car off the racetrack. The 41 Mazda has slid off the circuit in turn number 4.
This is that high-speed downhill left-hand turn. It's very treacherous in here. You can't get off in the marbles. Maybe you had a little bit of help. Hopefully in the replay we can see what have tore this car up.
Get another look at this one. The 41 machine goes by its teammate, the 43 car, into turn number 4.
Let's see what happens going downhill. He locks the brakes up, and just all of a sudden the rear end comes around him. He got out in the marbles. I think he just overreacted to this. Almost piles up 2 cars. Ooh, big hit on the guardrail, and look at all the dirt. Ironically, this is the Planet Earth car, sort of fitting.
He's really damaged that automobile in the narrowest part of the racetrack. Found a piece of the guardrail down there. The race leader throwing the car around, trying to stay out in front. That gap again down to 4 seconds, maybe less than that now. Less than a front straightaway separates first and second spot. The number 11 Sunoco Firebird with Doug Goad at the controls, sliding the car around turn number 1. He's driving for all he's worth, trying to stay in front of the 75 Toyota right now.
But I think something's amiss. The car doesn't sound like it did earlier.
Maybe the car's down a little bit on horsepower. Perhaps there's something wrong in the engine compartment, which may explain why he's sliding it through the corners, trying to maintain as much momentum as he can. The yellow flag's still out down at turn number 4 as a result of that incident down there.
Yeah, this lap, fortunately, the Mazda is out of the way, so Doug has a pretty clean racetrack, but the car doesn't sound good. Something's amiss, I'm afraid, in that V8, as we see Cunningham reeling him in a little bit lap after lap. There's plenty of time left.
The gap still remains about 4 seconds, but both of these drivers are pressing as hard as they dare on cars that have really paid the price over the last 2 hours and 50-odd minutes as Doug Goad slides the car through turn number 5, but manages to hold on.
This guy using his fabulous car control because he needs it right now. He's overheated those tires. He's trying to keep Peter back there. I'm not sure the car's, like I say, singing on all 8, and he is driving his butt off.
Boy, he's got a whole bunch of back markers in between himself and that 75 Toyota, and all of those cars, the slower, the compact machinery, all over the racetrack in front of him. Peter Cunningham's really going to have a chore to try to get by. Puts 2 wheels in the dirt, says, I don't care whether you give me room, I'm coming through, guys. And he might have surprised some Hyundai drivers a minute ago.
That's why I love watching Peter Cunningham. He'll put the race car anywhere he needs to. Unfortunately, against us a couple times he's done that too. But Peter is going to do whatever it takes to get this car to the front. He can smell victory.
The race leader up at the top side of the circuit one more time. He's just got to hold on for a couple more laps. Exiting turn number 10 down the start-finish line, crosses the stripe. And the last lap board is out. One more time around. He's got less than 2.5 miles to keep that car on the road. The 11 Sunoco Firebird, the race leader with Doug Goad, trying to get through some of the slower cars. That Planet Earth number 41 Mazda still circulating, is going to be there at the end.
This last lap, though, can be the most treacherous lap in motorsports because you know you got to get it home. You're already hearing some noise. We know the car's sliding too much. He's used his tires up. I'm not sure he's all 8. Matter of fact, it looks like the car's slowing down right now. This is the very last lap of a 3-hour race. What's happening to Doug Goad?
There's no acceleration. The 11 car's pulling off the racetrack. Peter Cunningham goes by and takes over the lead. The 11 Sunoco Firebird. It was his race to win, and the cars just run out of steam at the bottom end of the racetrack.
Peter Cunningham and Peter Tonelll worked hard all day, pushed hard all day. It looks like these guys may get this checkered flag on the very last half of the last lap after a 3-hour race.
Doug Goad must be heartbroken. The team might not even know what's wrong with the car yet. The number 11, the Powell Motorsports Sunoco Firebird, stops out on the racetrack a mile away from the finish line, and boy, it's got to hurt. Peter Cunningham around the final 2 turns through 9, the short chute into White's turn number 10, down the start-finish line. Peter Cunningham and Peter Tonelll, winners in the 75 Toyota Supra.
Boy, I have mixed emotions about these guys. They were right there. They've won this race. By the same token, I've been back in the 11 car too. You know that you got to win going, and the car will make the last lap.
Here comes a sport class. John Baressa, Lance Stewart, the 10. Team Hurricane, Acura, Integra will take home the victory. Flashes by the pit crew and gives them a little wave. Full measure for that one in the sport class after a really long afternoon. The touring class is won by the 71 ACURA INTEGRA. Peter Schwartzat and Bob Endicott in that BBS car. Another great victory as far as that class. These guys must be real happy. This is their hometown track. The compact class won by Hyundai, 1 and 2 in class. Mark Craig and Jocelyn Hebert in first place and their teammate right beside him. Peter Cunningham stops down at the far end of the circuit, commiserates with Doug Goad. Doug Goad says, well done, it's all yours, pal. It's gotta hurt, though. The race winner, Peter Cunningham, coming back up the front straightaway to join us in winter circle. Welcome back. Here are our Motorola StarTAC stars of the race. Peter Cunningham and his teammate Peter Tonelll with a win picked up the lead on the final lap to win Grand Sports. Our other StarTAC stars, sports winners, John Barassa and Lance Stewart. In the touring class, Peter Schwartzat, Bob Endicott. In compact, Mark Craig and Jocelyn Hebert today. First overall and Motorola StarTAC stars of the race, Peter Tonelll and Peter Cunningham.
These guys built a hell of a car, and my teammate, Peter Tonelll, did a great job.
To be totally honest,
And
I think everybody
we knew it was going to be a one-stop race if we could do the gas right. And then when that yellow came out, we thought we'd get a little insurance policy. And it was good that we did, because I was revving the daylights out of it.
We were trying to catch him. And if we didn't come in for that little insurance, we would have been right next to him, no doubt.
Our Derringer forward motion winner today, the car that picked up the most positions over the course of the race, the 26 Pontiac Firebird, the McDonald Cadieux Pontiac, Terry McDonald and her brother, Randy. And now here's a last look at the final STP leaderboard. First overall, Peter Tonelll and Peter Cunningham. Stu Hayter and Marty Miller finishing second in the 32 Firebird.
And coming home first in sports, John Barassa, Lance Stewart in their Acura Integra, Andy Lawley, Mike Johnson in the BMW, and then Goldsborough Burrows in the Lexus for P3. Down in touring, Peter Schwartzat, Bob Endicott bring their Acura home first. As second, it's Nonamaker Mazda with P3, Whitmer and Letourneau.
Finally, in the compact class, Mark Craig and Jocelyn Hebert first in the Hyundai, second in the Hyundai. Scott Cullen and DJ Scranton, Nowicki and Kleinebing in the Honda Del Sol, third in the compact class today. For our next race, we'll be back here at Mosport. For Terry Earwood, I'm Jim Martin saying so long. The Motorola Cup has been brought to you by Motorola, web without wires. By Castrol, track-proven performance. And by Hoosier Tires, tires designed for champions.